The Simpsons has surprised many with how often it seems to guess the future. From strange inventions to major world events, the show has predicted things that later came true in real life. How does a simple animated show get so close to reality again and again? Join us as we take a closer look at the scariest times The Simpsons seemed to predict what was coming.
It's a gravity-defying comb-over. I can't believe that this was once on his ass.
In March 2000, The Simpsons aired an episode called Bart to the Future. In it, Lisa becomes president of the United States and casually mentions that her administration inherited problems from President Trump.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
At the time, the line was just a joke. Donald Trump was known mostly as a businessman and TV personality. No one seriously believed he would ever become president. But in 2016, when he actually won the election, that joke stopped being funny. A cartoon had predicted something that felt impossible, and now it was real. 16 years before it happened, the show made another strange prediction. In a 1998 episode called When You Dish Upon a Star, a quick scene showed a sign that read 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Co. It was just a background joke meant to poke fun at how big companies were swallowing smaller ones. But in 2019, Disney officially bought 21st Century Fox for over $70 billion. That prediction also came true. It showed how the entertainment industry was changing. Disney now owns a large part of the movie and TV world, including Marvel, Star Wars, and even The Simpsons itself. Years earlier, in 1993, the show had aired another episode that later fell too close to reality. In Marge in Chains, a virus called the Osaka Flu spread through Springfield. It started when someone in Japan coughs into a box of products, and the virus reaches America.
The dreaded Osaka Flu has hit Springfield with over 300 cases now reported.
People get really scared, hospitals get crowded, and fake treatments spread fast. Some folks even tip over a truck looking for medicine, but they accidentally let out a bunch of angry bees.
I'm cured! Ouch!
The whole thing was meant to be over the top. But in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic changed everything. The world was hit by a real virus, and public reactions looked a lot like the episode. Around the same time, news reports also warned about murder hornets, giant insects found in the US. The episode's joke about bees didn't just feel strange. It felt exactly like a scene from the news. The fact that both things happened around the same time made the old cartoon seem more like a strange prediction than a joke. But that's not all.
Help me, Makmoo!
Clippers.
Another episode from the same 2000 Bart to the Future story also seemed to point toward future political trouble. It didn't clearly show a real-life event, but later episodes began to touch on themes that became real in 2021. In a 1996 episode called The Day the Violence Died, there are scenes of chaos outside government buildings. And in a short video released in early 2021 called Homer's End of the World, there are visuals that closely resemble the Capitol riot that took place on January 6th.
So it's true. Some cartoons do encourage violence. Ugh, ow!
In real life, a large group of people stormed the U.S. Capitol, breaking windows, entering offices, and disrupting Congress. While The Simpsons didn't directly predict this moment, the images and themes it had already shown felt too familiar. Democracy under attack, crowds taking over, and confusion spreading. It had all been shown in some form years earlier.
I wanna make it legal for policemen.
Back in 1995, another episode called Lisa's Wedding gave viewers a look at the future.
Oh, that's cute.
The happy squirrel.
That's bad.
In that story, Lisa is grown up and engaged. Her fiancé talks to someone using a watch on his wrist. It was a funny moment because it looked like something from science fiction. At the time, no one had wristwatches that could send messages or make calls. But starting in 2015, devices like the Apple Watch made that idea real. Now many people wear smartwatches that can do all kinds of things. Check messages, track health, even pay for things. What's strange isn't just that the tech exists. It's that people accepted it so quickly. We now use smartwatches without thinking about how futuristic they used to seem.
Say, let's bring him back to life by using technology.
In another example, a 1993 episode called Dollar Springfield included a scene with a white tiger attacking two performers who looked like Siegfried and Roy, the famous Las Vegas duo. The moment was meant to be over the top and funny, But in 2003, Roy Horn was seriously injured when one of their real white tigers attacked him during a show. He survived, but was left with long-term injuries. The attack ended their show and changed how people thought about using wild animals in entertainment. What had started as a joke on The Simpsons became a real-life tragedy. The show didn't just guess that an accident might happen. It predicted the exact kind of danger, right down to the kind of animal and the type of performance.
I'm in danger.
In Season 6, Episode 8 of The Simpsons, there was a short joke about a school memo getting misinterpreted by a personal digital assistant. It turned into a message that said, "Beat up Martin," which was clearly not the original intent.
Oh my god. Now I realize.
At the time, it seemed like a harmless gag about how machines could mess up simple things. But years later, that scene started to feel less like a joke and more like a warning. Autocorrect and predictive text are now part of almost every phone and computer. What started as a tool to help people type faster has become something people rely on too much. Messages, emails, and even important documents sometimes go out with words that weren't chosen by the person writing them. This became more troubling when people started to realize they were accepting machine suggestions without thinking.
Damn it! Lisa, solve this!
I've solved enough puzzles today.
Autocorrect errors aren't always funny. Sometimes they're serious. There have been real stories about people getting into trouble at work or upsetting someone because of a word that got changed automatically. In some cases, entire sentences change meaning, and the sender doesn't even realize it. It's no longer just about typos. It's about how much control has been handed over to a system that doesn't understand context.
No! It can't be!
That's where the fear comes in. Machines are writing parts of our sentences now, and most people don't notice or care.
Wait, this can't be. There's only one.
That concern about control came up again in a very different episode. Season 2, Episode 9. In that one, Marge fights against violent cartoons and ends up sparking a wave of censorship in town.
What is this all about? What do you people want?
We want you to get your big Italian butt out of here.
One of the targets is Michelangelo's statue of David. Some characters say it's inappropriate because it's nude and demand it be covered. At the time, this seemed ridiculous. Why would anyone censor a famous work of art? But in 2023, a real school in Florida faced a similar situation. A principal resigned after parents complained that students were shown a photo of David during an art lesson. Some parents said they should have been warned ahead of time. The story spread quickly, and people were shocked that a statue like David could be called inappropriate.
Is it a masterpiece, or just some guy with his pants down?
This wasn't just about one statue. It showed how quickly people could turn against well-known parts of history and culture. If a few loud voices could force a school to back down over a famous piece of art, then anything could be next. The Simpsons had turned it into a joke. But the real version wasn't funny. It showed how art and education could be pushed aside when people get scared or upset. The biggest fear is about how fast things can change and how easily people in charge might give in, just to avoid controversy. But there is more. A similar idea came up again in Season 20, Episode 4. In a Halloween special, Homer goes to vote and tries to pick Barack Obama, but the machine keeps switching his vote to the other candidate.
No!
6 votes for President McCain.
It was supposed to be a silly exaggeration, but in later elections, voters actually reported machines that changed their selections. There were videos showing people pressing one name and seeing another name light up. Some of these were explained as technical issues or calibration problems, but that didn't stop people from losing trust in the system. What made this so scary was the timing. It happened during real elections, when tensions were already high. People were ready to believe something was wrong. Even when the errors were small, they created big doubts. If one person's vote could be changed by a machine glitch, then how many other votes could be affected without anyone noticing?
This doesn't happen in America! Maybe Ohio, but not in America!
The Simpsons didn't predict exactly what would happen, but it captured the bigger fear. Machines that were supposed to help us could end up breaking the system if we trust them too much. That same idea, machines replacing people, came back in Season 25, Episode 10.
I wish someone would have come from the future and warned me not to talk to you.
There was a quick joke about AI creating comics and artwork. At the time, it sounded like science fiction, but by 2023, AI tools could actually write stories, draw pictures, and even create videos. writers and artists started to worry about their jobs. That year, the Writers Guild went on strike. One of their main concerns was that the studio might start using AI instead of hiring real writers. It was no longer a joke. It became a serious fight about the future of creative work.
My name is Conrad. I will determine the consequences of your online interactions.
People were not only worried about losing jobs, they were worried that stories and characters would lose something too. Machines can copy patterns, but they don't feel emotions. They don't understand people.
Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Conrad here.
If AI takes over, then movies and shows might still get made, but they won't have the same heart. The Simpsons joke about robot-made comics turned into a real debate about what creativity means and who should be allowed to create.
We're gathered here in the eyes of me, King of the Cameo, Stan Lee, to celebrate the wedding of comic book guy.
The fear of things falling apart was not limited to jobs or voting machines. In the Simpsons movie and in the episode The Fool Monty, the show hinted at bigger problems. In the movie, Springfield is covered by a dome after an environmental disaster. In other episodes, there are scenes of collapsing banks and desperate bailouts.
I'm going to cover this town with a dome!
A year after the movie came out, the 2008 financial crisis hit. Banks failed, people lost their homes, and the government stepped in to save big companies. It was exactly the kind of situation the show had warned about.
The government actually found someone we're looking for! Yeah, baby, yeah!
What made this prediction so haunting was how avoidable it all seemed. Experts had seen the signs. People had warned about risky loans and unstable banks, but no one stopped it. The system was set up in a way that let big mistakes keep going until it was too late. Then when the crash came, regular people suffered the most, while the powerful got help. Simpsons didn't show every detail, but they captured the basic truth. The people in charge often protect themselves first, even when the damage hurts everyone else. The last prediction on this list wasn't about money or machines, but about how people live their lives. In episodes like Bart to the Future and Days of Future Future, characters are shown wearing headsets and spending all their time in virtual worlds.
It's awesome. We're seeing how many e-scooters we can collect around town, charge, then get back on the streets.
Back then, it looked like a funny version of the future. But today, virtual reality is becoming more common. Companies are building whole platforms where people can work, play, and socialize without ever leaving their homes. The scary part isn't just that these tools exist, it's that people are starting to prefer them. Some spend more time in VR than in the real world. It's easy to see why. Virtual spaces can be cleaner, safer, and more exciting. But if more people choose fake worlds over real ones, what does that mean for society?
Blech, this virtual fudge tastes like crap.
The Simpsons showed characters ignoring their families and missing out on life because they were stuck in digital fantasies. That's starting to happen now. The joke is turning into a warning about where things are heading if we're not careful. What other predictions do you think The Simpsons made that actually came true? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You don't want to miss it.